Hello, everyone. I appreciate that you have joined today to review the outcomes of our capstone research project. This is a preview of what we will cover today. We will begin with team introductions, review the research and methods utilized in our project, confirm our findings, explain recommendations, and close with final thoughts. Our team was comprised of 4 students: Rebecca Garner, Montessa Frost Horning, Alexander Tudela, and myself, Carmen Vaughn. I will be narrating the presentation today. In this section of the presentation, we will review the research and methods planning and phase construction. We begin our project by analyzing and investigating the history and materials provided to familiarize with Cottonwood Crossing Summer Institute. We also developed a timeline and strategy for completing work, completed a statement of our work, which included 2 drafts, and conducted interviews with the board of directors. In phase 2, we deepened and advanced our work by managing our knowledge through compiling and condensing using Google Drive, as well as conducted research to determine best practices for nonprofits, including name and branding development, prime camp locations and partnerships, funding models and strategies, a scaling model, a marketing model and framework, as well as a competitive analysis. Now we will review the findings that emerged through our initial research. These findings have prompted our recommendations. To review, the mission statement is inspire students to pursue careers in land conservation and wildlife preservation. The vision statement is to cultivate a lifelong appreciation for nature in all its forms. We discovered the following: 1 camp location at Cottonwood Crossing, located along the John Day River, held annually from June 14th through the 19th, targeted for 9th through 12th graders, serving a total of 25 students per year, costing each participant $320, and scholarships are available. CCSI is seeking to obtain information and planning support. They would like the vision and mission statements to remain stable, obtain a scalable program model, design a new program name consistent with the vision and mission, and to remain supportive of expansion. Add 3 new camp locations to be determined, a tentative schedule recommendation, themes for each camp location, introduce and educate students to outdoor career fields, moving from 25 students to 100 annually. And finally, integrate activities that enhance the learning experience in a fun and inclusive way. During winter term, a team of students designed and launched a survey of high school students in LeGrand, Oregon. Their conclusions included 55.8% of those surveyed would not be interested in attending. Most alarming, 91.4% of those surveyed had never heard of CCSI. 97.9% of the students surveyed selected they would prefer to attend during some part of the summer. 65.4% of respondents documented that an outdoor camp was appealing. Students also responded to what they would most be inclined to learn about, and those percentages are displayed. There was a significant amount of information compiled through our competitive analysis and SWOT analysis. We concluded with 2 local faith-based camps, as well as a larger statewide competitor, OMSI, that 2 out of 3 camps are charging a higher fee for similar outdoor experiences. All 3 competitors use distribution channels that are well developed, including websites, social media, television and radio advertisements, and strong partnerships with stakeholders. All 3 competitors own property to host camps. Competitors are hosting multiple camps annually. CCSI is limited to serving 9th through 12th, whereas competitors are serving K through 12. All competitors have been functioning and operating for 60 years or more. CCSI is setting themselves apart by providing educational and career opportunity, focus, and advancement through programming. Students can obtain college credit through participation. Focus and based in rural region without a faith-based stakeholder tie. Now that we have covered our findings, we are going to transition, reviewing our recommendations and outcomes per the requested initiatives. After much deliberation, brainstorming, voting, and then design, our team is proud to present our conclusions. For the program name, Elk Run Adventure Academy, which makes the acronym ERA, a new era of outdoor programming. We mocked up some branding. This is a recommendation based on the parameters provided with the vision for expanding CCSI to a program. After much research and refinement, our team is recommending 4 locations to select 3 from. Each of these locations is reflective of the mission and vision, Eastern Oregon region, and would meet the requirements of serving the capacity of students desired. Location 1 is Catherine Creek. The theme is wildfire science. It includes healthy forest, fire suppression, swimming, photography, and hiking. Location 2 is Anthony Lakes Campground. The theme is geologic, wildlife, and botanical features. Activities include kayaking, paddleboarding, wildlife viewing, visit the interpretation sites, and photography. Location 3 is Wallowa Lake, themed recreation management. It includes swimming, hiking, horseback riding, kayaking, scavenger hunt, and photography. Location 4 is Haystack Reservoir, themed wildlife habitat preservation. It includes activities such as bird watching, swimming, learning about overhunting, protecting at-risk species, and photography. Each of these locations meets all the parameters requested for capacity, location, partnerships, and more. And I included photography in each one of these activities so that perhaps the photographs can be used on social media. Considering design, timing, and what students desired, and adequate resources, a potential design would include 4 total camps, 25 to 30 student capacity at each site. In consideration of the 97% of students who chose summer as an optimal time of the year, we designed a 12-week calendar for the 4 camp locations. The camps will be led by EOU faculty, EOU capstone students, and other regional professionals. They will have their choice of 5 course options. It will include high school students 9th through 12th grade and partner with Oregon State Parks. The rest of the structure and logistics would remain consistent with how CCSI has already been functioning. Now we will discuss several components of funding and data recommendations. Our first initiative was to discover and compile the costs associated with each camp location. Full disclosure, these expenses do not include the overhead for staff and planning. Also, please note that there are 2 breakdowns for Haystack. The first includes 2 round trips for bus expenses versus if a bus stayed a week on site. As you will note, reserving and using space at these sites, transportation, food will all come in at similar price points. These figures would be a baseline to determine the cost per student tuition. Each were calculated for 30 students and 20 staff to compensate for inflation and unexpected costs. Day use cost is determined using the assumption of 6 days. Staffing expenses are always a bulk of overhead. As a result, we also compiled the potential need and the associated expenses. These are initial suggestions. Please note, further down the line, it will be advantageous to build out an organizational structure to include development staff, financial teams, and an executive director, and more. For now, these are the most necessary people to ensure functioning. Agency professionals indicate donated time from expert partners. For example, a professional might volunteer their time to build out a half-day activity on an at-risk species. EOU student instructors, aka interns, could be sourced from relevant disciplines. The time committed could result in internship credit or work study compensation. EOU mentors, aka volunteers, students seeking volunteer experience and hours to designate to their work experience. The following organizations were identified as an appropriate opportunity for funding streams. There are a range of dollar values and their website links are included. Suggestions on how to keep costs affordable and accessible. Raise tuition of the camp. Work with high schools to provide fundraising opportunities for tuition. Internship program development to reduce camp counselor overhead. And partner with Recreation Department at EOU to borrow used supplies rather than purchasing equipment. All the recommendations we make for scaling do not require sequential completion. They are a plethora of ways to scale and plan for scaling. We focused on nonprofit scaling. There are many models and strategies to scale out a business. After deliberation and comparative analysis to what CCSI is seeking to do, we located literature that met criteria for the approach to scaling that would be most beneficial. The Harvard Family Research Project has completed extensive research, and it is clear that the approach to scalable change for CCSI is program-based. In working to scale your program, these are 6 steps based in best evidence practice that should be followed. CCSI is in the process of completing steps 1 through 3. Our recommendations fall within those steps as well. There remain 3 steps to continue to work on and through as the program expands. The most important target to keep focused on in the next year is service expansion through replication and advocacy. We created a personalized year 1 scaling model. Starting in Q3 of 2020, we determine the plan. You confirm partnerships with new locations, plan which funding and marketing strategies to implement, and vote and finalize decisions. Q4 of 2020, you secure and hire. You solicit and secure funding designated to hiring and organization development. Q1 of 2021, you to prepare and market by design pilot experiences, marketing for funding participants, staff, interns, and volunteers, develop evaluation metrics and knowledge management. Q2 of 2021 is time to pilot and evaluate. Run a pilot program, evaluate your outcomes, and hold post-mortems to determine next steps. Similar to funding models and scaling models, marketing models are abundant. We chose one as a recommendation that is simple and user-intuitive. The 4 Ps represent a well-rounded approach to developing a marketing scheme that will not leave any market unattended. Product, price, place, and promotion are identified in the initial framework as a starting point to narrow the scope and focus. Product. In order to stay competitive, companies need to differentiate their product by knowing what is, how to articulate themselves consistently, and how to ensure the product remains consistent with the mission and values. Price. Identifying and determining the price as it compares to competitors within the market, accessibility to our patrons, and create sustainability for program longevity is critical. We built out some of the key points for ERA as it stands and for its future state. Promotion. Considering promotion venues, partners, stakeholders that are most advantageous to our mission and values in consideration of cost. Place. Selecting place and space that is conducive to replication while holding true to the mission and vision. Considering feasibility of access. The use of the 4 Ps is an excellent model to consider, document, and strategize as an expansion is occurring. Our final thoughts include that all these recommendations are flexible and could be modified. There are several areas that should be built out, including infrastructure, knowledge management protocols, building a robust website, branding design and protocols, and overall organization design and development. As with many nonprofits, funding is always and will be the high priority consideration. The hiring of a chief development officer and securing funding for that role would be highly advantageous to creating visibility and generative revenue streams. Thank you for the opportunity to collaborate and provide support as CCSI expands into a more robust program. We hope that our contributions are effective and useful. It was our pleasure to participate in such a meaningful movement.